KCC311 for week number 8. Here's the third and final video. We're talking about percentiles. We started talking about this quantitative data on taxi rides, looking at how long people rode a taxi. We found the mean, median, mode. And then last video I said, let's put this in the area template, copy the quantitative data, tell me the groups. I grouped them by 120 seconds, or I grouped them by 2-minute groups. And then we have this data here that we can graph. And real quick refresher, highlight all that data, insert chart, and we get a nice little graph. By the way, just to make it a little nicer, there's different types. I like this little colored in area graph, and we can customize. Look at this frequency label here. That doesn't make any sense. So the legend in the right hand side, I don't need that because there's only one graph that I'm looking at. So I can go up here and click none. I don't need the legend. So that's a little nicer. I also talked about the axis title, horizontal axis title, retitle that taxi rides in seconds. So this is a nice little basic graph that I'm going for. For week number 8 assignment, the two things you need to do. You need to make this as part of a graphic. I'll show you how to do that. And then you need to find percentiles. Percentiles means, let's go back to the trip, the quantitative data. In this case, how long the trips were for. And we need to use a spreadsheet. We want to say, well, let's break up this data by percentiles. In other words, 80%. What's 80% mean? 80% means 80% of the people rode less than a certain distance, and 20% of people rode longer than a certain time. How do we find that? Excel, always, or Google Sheets. Always start with the equal symbol. Type the word percentile. You start typing it, and you see you get these choices. There's percentile right there. I double click it. Two things I need to tell the computer. I need to tell it the data I'm dealing with. So I click C. The quantitative data is column C, comma. What percentile? I said 80%. So I type in 80%, and I close the parentheses. I hit enter, and it says 1,080. What's that mean? It means that 80% of the people rode in the taxi less than that, and 20% of the people rode in the taxi longer than that. So this I'm going to type. This is the 80th percentile. I'll just do another example. What about a small percentile? Let's say 5%, like the people who just get in the taxi real quick, just got to go a couple blocks, but it's raining. So let's say the 5th percentile. Equals. Always start with equals. Type the word percentile. Ah, there it is right there. Click it. I click C because that's my data, comma, 5%. If you like to do 0.05, type it as a decimal, that's fine too. You should get the same answer, 120. A short taxi, that's 2 minutes. Like I said, that's a couple blocks when it's raining. So you have the short taxi rides, 120, 5% of people. You have the longer taxi ride, 80% of the people ride here, or 20% ride more than that. This is a nice way to help me see the data. But I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to put this graph that you have together with the percentiles in making a very basic graphic. And we've done this before. So we know that if you get to Google Drive, from your Kindle email, you should be able to get to the Google Drive right here. Click New. Got all these different things, but I want to go down to Google Drawings. And it opens a blank sheet. And I can do all sorts of things. I can hit the T. The T is like the title. And I can type in a title. You're going to make a more descriptive title than week number 8 assignment, but you get the idea. And I can make that nice and big, feature it right in my graphic. Okay, so I'm sort of laying the groundwork. I'm setting the stage here. Now I need the graph. Okay, so I can go over here. If back to where I created the graph and the template, these little triple dots, you can save the image. And I actually already saved this one, but then you can go to this little image button here, upload the chart, and now I've combined the graph that you made here with the, sorry about that. You can combine that with the graphic here. And so I've got a title. I've got the graph. But the last thing you need to put together are these percentiles. I need to say, hey, 5% of people only ride the taxi for 2 minutes. So how can I do that? Look at this little line here. I'm going to click the line button. And I got to use a little judgment here because 120, that's a short taxi ride. Maybe it's about here. And I draw a little line just like that. And now I can go back to this text box and I can label that line. I can say 5% of people ride the taxi 2 minutes or less. Now, right now, I've labeled a percentile and I've given a description. Now, looking at that, you might say, okay, I can sort of see that. Maybe you want to find a more clear way to do it. Maybe look, there's some arrows here. These call-outs. These call-outs are sort of like the old, like a comic book thing where they help me make a label with a little arrow on top of it like that. So I'll let you decide what format you want to do. But what am I looking for? A graph. We went over that in the last video. Percentiles, and then tie it all together in a graphic. Last one I'll do here. What's the 80th percentile? 1080. So if I go back to my graphic, okay, I'll use the call out here. So I go up here, call out, there's my little call out. Okay, 1080. It's right about here. So I can make a little graph. Oh, I got it upside down. I can work with it. Boom, right there. And I can type here. 80% of people ride less than 1,080 seconds. Now that's sort of descriptive, but I could flip it the other way around. I could say 20% of people ride more than 1,080 seconds. So you get the idea. And you know what? You can convert that to minutes to make it a little more clear. I can write a little line here to help me graph, to draw that. I could actually draw a box around that 20% here, and oh, you can't see the graph anymore. So you go up here, click this, and you can make it transparent so you can see through it. There's lots of different ways you can label the percentiles. But what do you need to know? Graph. That was the last video. Percentiles, that's a simple formula, and then putting it together in the graphic, and I'll let you figure out the styles to do that. Title, graph, percentiles, and some basic descriptions, and you've got a week number 8 graphic. Any questions? Reach out on email.